that's
Anything you want down there?
Sorry?
Yeah, anything work?
Yeah. That one's
it's the highest point of the line, so there's gradients in all directions. 30 lever double twist frame it had in it. That had been ripped out in '65, and the structure was just left there as a P-way cabin, which is how we acquired it. Took it apart brick by brick and rebuilt it here. But the inside we fitted out as Bersham. That's a signal box that was up at near Wrexham on the Western. Because we had the lever frame from there, came out in '85. The lever frame is a stud frame, Great Western stud frame, and again, the date is actually, if you look by your feet, you'll see the date in the casting, 28th of October 1896. So that's when Swindon cast that ready for Reading Signal Works to use. The purpose of it was purely to give access into the colliery sidings, but as so many other signal boxes closed along that line, then it became useful as a brake section box. As I say, it survived till '85, which is when we got it. We've tried to put it back as much as we can, as it would have looked at the turn of the century. Single deck Spaghetti block instruments, etc, etc. The general fitting of the box is the stuff you would have found then, but of course it's impossible to go right back in time, so you're all stood under electric lights. But we've done our best. What we've done, we've connected it so that we can demonstrate to people, non-railway people, how you signal trains. And we either work to the little cupboard at the top of the stairs there, which was the former toilet, as it is at the moment, or we can switch it down to the far end of the yard there where that ground frame hut is, and we can work from there, just to show people, the workings of it. The style of painting and everything is pretty well, as you would have found when it was new. But we've actually put on one or two features to try and demonstrate to people. Like when you look down there beyond the scaffold tower that we've got around that wagon, the starting signal had the distance for the next box underneath because they were very close together. So we've got slots in there. So if I pull off the starting signal, then in a moment, if the other guy's ready, there you are. The distance signal has dropped off, so we've got a slot in there. And of course that's under his control and our control, so if he puts his distance lever back, it would go back. If I put my starting lever back, so that's a little bit of demonstration about how slotting works. The other interesting thing is perhaps this combined Great Western lamp and arm repeater. Technically, for those of you who are technical, generally speaking, you feed batteries from the site back to the signal box for the repeaters to work. What the Great Western did, they used the box batteries and feed outwards. So if the lamp was out, which it is at the moment, and I switch the bell on, you can hear the bell, which were built inside them in those days, rather than up on the wall like the other type. That's why these very old instruments have got a slot on the side, normally blocked off with a piece of wood. But this one's still got its original fretwork because you have to hear that bell. The Great Western designed the bells so that they couldn't be confused with a telephone. They've got a much slower beat and ring. And the way it works basically is it picks a live feed up from the battery in the signal box. It pulls in, there's nothing to keep it there because the lamp's out, so it keeps bouncing backwards and forwards. And it's the signal box battery that's doing that. If the circuit's complete by the lamp being alight, then the bell would stop. So it's little things like that really that, that are things. Now, I am a Western man at heart, so it's quite dear to me, all of this. Another thing we've got here, which people have asked about, is the detonator placers. For those who want to see how a detonator works, if you look out the window here, there's a silver box attached to the rail. You can put your head out there, you'll see it better. If a driver is coming past my signals at danger, then I try and attract his attention with a red light or a red flag, but I also pull the detonator. If you watch now as I pull the lever, you'll see it come out of its little box, and the two detonators will appear on the top. So the driver will get a nice big bang. Hopefully that'll wake him up unless he's already dead, in which case it's not my worry. I send a train running away or obstruction danger, whatever, to the next signal box and let him deal with it. So that's that's some of the sort of basics of it. It's a stud frame. We can have a look downstairs in a moment. So please have a go on the frame, on that shelf, the window shelf. So it should have changed to green, little green.
Is this off?
Yeah, that's it. That tells you that you've got it correctly. Actually, of course, they were lost something just to build on the stand. Sorry? Drawers of wiring when it stands. Yeah, it's hard work. They used to issue a special handle for it and you drop on the top. So try putting it down, it'll be locked. Okay? Yeah, put 3 back, and then try putting 2, then 3. So get 2 now, we should do. And there 3. That should release 1.
Is that mechanical?
Yeah, mechanical sequence. It is very rare nowadays. There's one location on the 7 Valley that's still got it, and that's Heine. Heine's still got mechanical in the other direction. That site there is actually working a ground signal. You can't see it, you can see it back. Yeah, so
You shouldn't allow him to go backwards.
Sequential work?
ah, yeah, well, there you go. You see, the sequential is all in that little house here. And it's, yes, it was added on, they added it on, I think 1952 they added it to this. And all it is, it's the same as ordinary tappet locking, it's got 2 springs pushing. And if you pull 3 before you do 2, a square lock goes in, holds 2. But of course, having got it the right way round, you could put either one back at danger as you want.
So we've just been having a conversation about that. Why would you use sequential locking?
Because
as
of
a
reading
setup?
through. If I had number 3 signal pulled off and a driver was coming at night, he might see that green light and miss his own red light, which is closer to him. So
Right.
sequential became the standard, certainly after the Second World War. It was done electrically as much as mechanically, but it's so important because I might forget to put number 3 back and pull, pull 2 or hold a train at 2, but he can see a green light ahead of him and miss his own red light that you're trying to stop him at. So you have to work them
So
sequentially.
you'd have to pull 2 because it's the first thing you might
Yeah,
see.
that's right, and
And
then
then
you
3.
then 3. That's it in that
Right,
order.
okay, so it's not about
Also,
distance, it's
the other
about
thing
those
is,
2. Okay.
yeah, and also because number 3 will be interlocked with the block instrument.
Yeah.
If I've forgotten to pull that, to put that back to danger, and I pull number 2, he'll see a green light and away he'll go, whether I've had a line clear release or not. So because of the sequence of it all, it makes me do things. As soon as I put 3 back, I won't get it again until I get another line clear.
But because this was a not a station, that worked okay.
Yeah,
It wouldn't have
yeah.
worked if you had a platform.
No,
because
no,
you
no.
wouldn't
Of course,
have hooked a platform.
that's right. It was normally done with the principal running signals.
Yeah.
If you've got other signals, you wouldn't have sequential.
Yeah.
It was refinements that were added over the years. When you look at the history of amendments, even on this frame, all the way through from 1900, they were tweaking it periodically because if they put another connection in or an extra signal, they had to bring pretty well the whole rest of it up to current standard. And at the end there, for those who can see it, there's ordinary Great Western tappet locking that we demonstrate on for people. See how many people's fingers we can catch.
So some
when
of
we
the
demonstrate.
so some of the bars will just have a hole that will match the size of the bolts, and other ones will have a slot so it doesn't engage.
You guessed it, and that's, you probably saw when those were over. Thanks for putting those. When you saw one of them's got a slot all the way down the middle of it for that reason. So, and to get enough, even for a little frame like this, there's locking at the back as well. There's another separate row of it there, because a lot of it's hidden locking. Like, if you pull the starting signal off, it will hold the points behind it, so you can't shift. The signalmen are not aware of that necessarily, but all that locking has to be provided on there. So that's why even for a simple layout like this, it takes a lot of.
And the bars are doubled up as well, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
That's part. I was going to ask.
Because your stud could go sideways.
Yes.
You could have a stud drifting sideways by
So
accident.
you double it up. I see. I was
Yeah.
going to ask, why does it need so many bars compared to tappet locking? Because the principle's not really that. all
No,
that
no,
different.
it's not. It's really the same principle.
Yeah.
You've got to push something into something
Yeah.
to hold it. But of course, there is this thing for them to twist, as you
So
say.
you double up.
Yeah, you double
so-
up, and they go right through. So they're each holding each other, and also they're acting as spacers because of obviously the length of bar. You can see, like most frames, there's more locking in the middle there where you've got your shunt signals and points. So you've got the extra bars in there.
But because of the slots, if you want to
Yeah.
lock one end right to the other, you've just got to do
That's right. Yeah.
countless slots.
They're very
down
cheap
the
to make. You've got you've got a piece of girder there and just some flat bars. There's no brass on them at all, so they were easy to make.